It was the summer of 2020 that I met Charlie. For the next 18 to 24 months, I was with Charlie every month, sometimes twice a month, all the time, flying, traveling with him. And we developed a really deep friendship. He asked me to be on the board of Turning Point as kind of using my lawyer skills. Like, here's the thing, David and Jeremy, it's like, this is what makes Charlie incredible. It's not that I would consider what you just said as like an apex moment of compassion and logic and not caring what the crowd thinks. And it was like, it was the moments when he started with shaking hands at the card table when 3 people were there, and then built on those courageous moments up to a place, because nobody wants to start. It says of Apostle Paul that daily he goes to the synagogue and to the public square to debate people, to argue for our Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody does that. None of our pastors do that. You guys don't do it. I don't do it. Face-to-face interaction, it's way more vulnerable. It's way scarier.
All right, David, thank you so much for joining us. I know you are overseas in Rome right now, and obviously in the wake of this week's events with the assassination of Charlie Kirk in Utah. Jeremy and I wanted to connect with you because we have a bit of a relationship going past, but you had a unique relationship with Charlie, and also I think you have a very unique voice as well and perspectives on this. You were a personal friend and confidant with Charlie, and also on the board of TPUSA, or on the board of TPUSA.
Turning Point USA.
Anyways, thank you for joining us, man.
Thanks, David and Jeremy. It's great to be on the show. If you don't mind, I just would love to say, first of all, we have Erica Kirk and her children and the TPUSA family in our hearts and our prayers, and they're heavy on our hearts. And if any listeners are compelled to support them, they can go to tpusa.com and support the mission.
Wonderful. 100%. We will urge all of our viewers and those guys watching, consider, everyone can give something. Consider doing that, as obviously it's I would probably say single-handedly the most important organization, especially when it comes to youth and young people, specifically in the political realm, the conservative realm in the United States, and the family. That's one thing I think, Jared, it's hit you and I the hardest too, is we're both young fathers as well. And when you become a father and you have children, and Charlie said this over and over again, I think the most important thing you can do is have children. It just wrecks you seeing the nucleus of a family like that go, and that's just brutal. David, first off, maybe just tell us a little bit about Charlie, what you loved about him, how you got to know him over the years. Just take us through that briefly.
Yeah. Let me start with how I got to know him, and because that'll give the audience context. It was the summer of 2020 that I met Charlie. I'd actually met his wife, Erica, the year before that. I was also in the midst of developing Lucid, our conservative urban media company, and she was I was wanting her to be a part of it. We quickly became friends and met her and her beautiful mom. And then a year later, because she moved to Phoenix because she had met a boy, a year later, we were in the midst of the city on fire in New York City and BLM riots. And I was really, really being bold about not submitting to the Marxist oppressive narrative of oppressor oppressed, and saying the gospel in Galatians says that we're all one in Christ and that we can reconcile together in Christ. And almost everyone left our church because they don't want to deal with the conflict. And Erica was watching that happen, and she was saying, Charlie, you got to have this guy in your show. And a long story, really short, is that after being on Charlie's show, he asked me, he said, hey man, I want you to travel with me everywhere I go. So for the next 18 to 24 months, I was with Charlie every month, sometimes twice a month, or all the time, flying, traveling with him, supporting him, talking about these issues, speaking with him, and we developed a really deep friendship. He asked me to be on the board of Turning Point as kind of using my lawyer skills and strategy to help guide the organization. So I've served that way with our other 3 board members, Tom, Doug, and Mike. And we've been running the ship. It's been incredible. And we haven't been running it. Really, Charlie's been running it. We've just been giving insight and wisdom and being a friend to a once-in-a-generation level leader. And God graced him like, here's the thing, David and Jeremy. It's like, you can't make a Charlie Kirk in a laboratory. That comes from God. That package of giftings that he had, which was master strategist. Like, that's what people don't understand. Like, he was like the greatest coach of any sport there could be. He was a master strategist. He knew all of the plays. He knew all of the arguments, and he was incredibly personable as well. That's what people don't understand. They're like, he's a robot. Like, no, logically he was robotic, because in logic we use binary figures.
Yeah.
Logic is very simple. There's a simple set of rules that you have to follow by. But in person, like, everybody loved him. The people that worked for him loved him. The gas station attendant loved him. He used to go get these vitamins. I'd go with him to the vitamin shop. It would explode, erupt in salutation when he would walk in. People loved him. He wasn't some kind of like weird, autistic Elon Musk. I don't know how to communicate. He was beloved by people, and a master strategist, and had the motivation to run the race that God called him to run. And so Charlie was a hero. It's like that simple as that. I'm not a hero. Charlie was a hero. And I'm really grateful that the Lord let me be in his life for a period of time to be a friend and confidant and counselor.
Oh,
yeah. You know, when I think of Charlie, like, I've watched hundreds of hours of his content over the years. When I think of him, the first word that comes to mind is courageous. Like, he was extraordinarily courageous. Like, even like both David and I are in television, and we're both pastors as well, and we speak to the public in public forum. But Charlie did it at a whole nother level. Like, when you think about going to college campuses and debating people and not knowing what questions are coming, and then also, but to see how gracious he was in it, it was just like one of a kind. No one really had. There's many people who go college campuses, but they go and bulldoze people, and Charlie did not do that. He did it, and you could see his love and his compassion. In fact, I watched a video yesterday where they were booing, and he silenced them, and he said, "Can we give this person a round of applause for their bravery?" Because it was an opposing view, and I was like,
love it,
man.
Let me tell you something, Jeremy. Here's the thing that people don't. This is what makes Charlie incredible.
Yeah.
It's not that moment that I would consider what you just said as like an apex moment of compassion and logic and not caring what the crowd thinks. And it was the moments when he started with shaking hands at the card table when 3 people were there.
Yeah.
And then built on those courageous moments up to a place. Because nobody wants to start. Nobody wants to step out and be all alone and say, I'm going to do this for the first time. And then, Charlie's been doing that since 2013.
Yeah.
Like, we're almost on 10 years of like, you become a master.
Yeah.
And that's what the church has missed entirely. It says of Apostle Paul that daily he goes to the synagogue and to the public square to debate people, to argue for our Jesus, like the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody does that.
Yeah.
None of our pastors do that. You guys don't do it. I don't do it. I do it very rarely. I'll say that. We do preach in the subways very rarely, but preaching in the subways is one thing. Face-to-face interaction, it's way more vulnerable. It's way scarier. And what I want to see, Jeremy, is I want to see 100,000 Charlie Kirks that are like Apostle Paul. Follow me as I follow Christ, that can engage their community outside of their Walmart, in the subway in New York City, that are having these conversations that are like, there's 2 things that draw a crowd, right? Giving stuff away, whether it's entertainment or food or whatever it is, and conflict. Those are the 2 things that Christ did that drew a crowd. Like, he gave them healing and bread and whatever, multiplication, and then fight the Pharisees, Sadducees. That was a form of conflict. Massive crowds come to those 2 things always.
Yeah.
And I want to see that proliferated times 100,000 throughout the United States, throughout Canada, all of Western Europe, so we do not lose our nations. We have the Muslims proliferating across the West, and their arguments are insanely weak in comparison to Christianity. They have a leader that married a 9-year-old girl. Like, we can win these arguments, but we have to be courageous enough to engage in these debates publicly, or else we're just going to like weakly walk back and allow them to take over everything. Those are our only options.
I think Charlie knew and understood that Christianity has stood the test and of time when it comes to debate, when it comes to being questioned, when it comes to like Christianity answers all those questions. It has the right answers for why are we here? What do we do in these situations? How did they come about? Like it logically answers and there's explanations. And he had boldness and courage and confidence in that. And from what you're saying with the 100,000 Charlie Kirks is that I think you have to come to a place where people can understand that. And David, we have people watching us that obviously know Jeremy and I are pastors and we have that as our background, but we have a lot of people who watch on this channel, other spots that have no religious affiliation, but they probably might have some very similar thinking when it comes to politics or how countries should be built, which obviously we know in the West comes from the biblical foundation of what we find there. When it comes to the next generation, I want to ask you this. What does it mean for the next generation of leaders? Because we are seeing a crisis right now in emerging generations, and I'll say ones that have emerged from universities already, where we need to recover truth as a standard and not be so emotionally, but also ideologically driven. Because we've seen the ideologically driven in the West, where it moves people to dehumanize someone like Charlie Kirk to the point where I'm just going to eliminate him and I'm going to try to shut him up. How do we recover truth as our standard as we're looking for 100,000 Charlie Kirks?
Yeah, I mean, this is where we must be deeper than politics. And Charlie invited me into the world 5 years ago that I got to meet, the president and senators and congressmen and green rooms and all of this wild stuff. And I discovered very quickly, I'm like, oh, some of these guys are bad guys. Like, politically, they agree with us, but they don't have a foundation in the eternal word. John chapter 1, Jesus is the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And all things that were made through him, the construct of his truth and beauty and life and goodness. And if we're not rooted there, the political debate is irrelevant because it leads to hedonism and multiple adulteries and orgies in the back room at the conservative events. And so it's like that's why Charlie is such a hero, David, is because he wasn't just for a political party, but he knew his belief system must be rooted in the eternal truth of God's word and way. And so if we're like, there's a couple of things that need to happen. One, pastors need to start declaring truth, whether it's offensive or not. And two, young people need to get God's way and word into them so that then when they go out and they engage these systems, it's not my idea against your idea. It's God's idea against all other ideas. Yeah. And let my way and your way be subjugated to God's eternal way so that we both may flourish. And that's what Benjamin Franklin famously said. He's like, I don't want to win an argument. I want to come to the truth. And we know, Jeremy and David, we know that the truth is God's eternal truth, and we can see it manifest in the scripture, and then we can apply it as closely as we can in our life and our families, in having lots of babies, and realizing our purpose is to love God and enjoy him forever and love our families and love our nations and begin to inculcate and live those values.
Yeah. Wow. Well said. Extremely well said. David, in the last couple of minutes, do you have any other? I have one last question I want to ask him.
No,
but
go ahead.
In the last couple of minutes that we have, looking forward, we've heard, I believe it was the governor of Utah say, actually might have been even Kash Patel, director of the FBI, talk about it being a watershed moment. We actually just don't know what direction that's going to be. And you hear a lot of people speculating about how do we move from here? What does this mean for our society? This is something, I don't have the answer. How do you move from here? We'll talk more about that after, David, when you go take your lovely wife on a date in a couple minutes here. But as a society, how do we move on in the world where social media, you have leaders, you have tons of people where you become desensitized to this type of thing, almost entertained by it, right? And that's actually what's made our Western societies come out of the depravity of what civilization used to be. It's like the movement of debate and open discussion has brought us so we don't have to resort to these barbaric ways of living. That's what created the West and made it so strong. how do we? I'm afraid that we're going the wrong direction. I think this was a breaking point showing where we've been going as a society for a while. How do we move forward? What are your thoughts on moving forward? Where do you think we go from here?
Yes. Luckily, you've asked the right question to the right person. I do have the answer, in fact.
I love the confidence. Let's hear it.
Malachi chapter 4. If the hearts of the fathers will turn towards the sons, and the hearts of the sons will turn towards the fathers, then I will lift the curse off of the land.
Wow.
And the answer is not Ben Shapiro going back to the college campuses. The answer is not another hero arising. The answer is fathers lifting up sons, that their voices would arise and be strong and brave. And then the hearts of the sons turn towards the fathers.
Wow.
To love them and honor them and encourage them and lift them up. And I think what's going to happen next is I think the seed of Charlie's life is going to be buried in the hearts of young people across the nation. It's happening right now. And if fathers will respond by turning to the sons and lifting up their voices, the 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that are burning to say God's truth, burning to echo what Charlie was saying, I think we can have revival across our nations.
Wow. Well said. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's why we see such an attack on manhood, because I think it's one of the strongest positions that a believer can hold. And if men take their position in the home as a spiritual leader, there's nothing the enemy can do. And I think that's why we do see that attack. Wow, well said. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Pastor David. I appreciate those comments and those thoughts. We're going to talk more. I know you got to go. We're going to talk more on that, because that also involves people making a decision and analyzing, what does it mean why I'm here if they don't have a faith or a religion? Is people are asking questions. So I do want to talk more about that, because that's a big part of all of our lives, all three of our lives. We're not just good guys, right? It comes from our deep-seated faith in a creator of God, and that propels us forward in terms of our viewpoints and our worldview. But David, thank you, man. I so appreciate you. Just like, honestly, you're in Rome,
on the other side of the world right now,
and you made time for us, so we're so grateful, man. We'll definitely have you back on at some point.
Thank you, guys.
Go enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Blessings.
Blessings. Bye-bye. I think that's an extreme profound word, and I think for a lot of our audience, because you maybe you don't see that side of us, and as you can tell, for David, his faith and his life being planted, built on the Word of God, is evident with how his words are, how he shapes, and how he talks. And I just felt like that's a challenging moment, because everyone has to at some point in their life ask the question. Everyone does.
Yeah.
Why am I here?
Yeah.
Like, when you go back and you think, we talked about logic at the beginning. Logically, why am I here? It is illogical to think of the idea of nothing begot something. And so if you think that way, then okay, well then what was at the beginning? We've arrived at the conclusion, there's God. God created. And not just a God, not a random God that I perceive and create in my own mind. Otherwise, I've actually put that God in a box, and I'm superior to that box because I created that God.
Yeah, chaos can't give birth to order. There's just no way.
So the reason I want to say that is that if you've ever thought about that, or maybe you haven't entertained religion, or you're thinking about it, and now you're asking all these questions in the wake of this, I want to challenge you. Like, you go study, go research, go look at things. I'm going to challenge you, go read the Gospels. Go read Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Give it a try for yourself. Actually, I dare you to go take a look at it.
And one of the massive things for me, and I'm sure there's many other people, is that I'm not going to I used to be kind of tiptoe in certain areas, in certain realms, depending what I was in, a little bit I about my faith. And so there's I was never ashamed of my faith, but I was probably more strategic about how I led with it. But that's going to shift for me. I'm going to be much more forward, much more upfront, much more bold. It's going to talk. I don't care really what realm I'm in, or what room I'm in, or what table I'm at. Seeing Charlie and the way he did it has changed me. It's changed me, and I'm going to
And just for the record, you and I have never been ashamed.
No.
It is the foundation of our life, our faith. But we've always kind of separated in the sense of, this is what we do over here, not separated, but when we come here, we want to be
our government is it, like, sorry to interrupt you, can I build off that? Because, like, for example, when you do channels and television, there's religious and non-religious, you know what I mean? It's just they're two different worlds. And so the non-religious section of television is pretty much not allowed to have religion on it. Like, you would know that better than me. Is that correct?
There is, like,
they literally have a threshold,
parameters about what you need to do.
They literally have a threshold, and if it gets religious, it's not allowed. Like, let that just sit and think about that.
And that's just the written down stuff. The unwritten things in terms of how people perceive it, who are in power positions and all that might have, like, there is that aspect to it as well.
And so, anyway, to me, that if that doesn't tell you kind of a little bit about the roots of government and the way that our government is kind of running things, I don't know what to tell you, but it's you're going to hear a lot more about it, and I think there's going to be a lot more people. Like, I really do think that the people who killed and assassinated him, if it's people or one person, I don't know, thought they were squashing something, but they really did ignite something. You can see there's like a fire igniting from the people who love Charlie.
Well, it is a breaking point. It's a watershed moment. And you literally can see two sides of a spectrum, and that's not political sides. I'm saying two sides of a spectrum of how to view the world and view each other. Is that you have people that are going to be motivated and people that are upset, but also going to take this as a charge to move forward. And you have people who are celebrating, and you have people who are dancing, and frankly, evil and disgusting. And I don't think you're worthy of the title of a human being in that aspect of things, let alone a citizen of a country that celebrates democracy and freedom of speech and respect for each other and sanctity of life and all these things. But that's what happens when you have crazy ideologies that actually infect the mind. This is why Gad said, side note, we got to get him back on.
For sure we do.
His book, I'm blanking on the name. It's the green cover. To Paul, if you can text it to me as well, talks about how mind viruses are real and the parasitic mind. That's it. How it infects, like a parasite sucks the life out of its host, and it twists and it warps. That's what we've seen with ideologies that are based in absolute craziness. Not based on anything that's foundational. It is based on emotion. It's this progressive liberal, and that's, again, not a liberal party, progressive liberal ideology that's based in human is the ultimate human secularism, in terms of I just got to do what I want. I think what I want. I kind of create what I want. And that creates this absolute insanity that is leading us to a world where people celebrate and profit and make t-shirts and laugh and joke about public execution of someone who tried to engage in debate.
We posted this on our Instagram, and if you don't follow us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram at Real Citizen, REALCTZN, about a professor at University of Toronto, and I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm literally going to keep talking about this professor, Dr. Ruth Marshall, I think is her name. But this I don't even know if I can say it on YouTube. Shooting is honestly too good for so many of you fascists. CUNTS. I can't even say that on YouTube. I guarantee it. Evil. Reach out to University of Toronto. We need to talk to them. She needs to be released. There's no question. I'm calling for it. Dr. Ruth Marshall, I believe, University of Toronto. Her Twitter, I think, is at WTF is to be done. Number 2, BDONE. WTFIS number 2, BDONE. Evil, straight evil. University of this is a professor, guys, we're talking about. I'll read it again. Shooting is honestly too good for so many of you fascist CUNTS. Unbelievable. I just can't even fathom that that's a professor.
Well, similar thing in the Manitoba NDP government. Crazy. There is a minister there, Nahani Fontaine, no relation to our family of Fontaines whatsoever, was also part of the NDP government, was absolutely saying very similar vile things. And you know, we do believe in ultimate freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean that when you say what you want that you automatically, if I'm an employer of someone who starts doing vile stuff like that, I've got the right to say, I don't want you in my culture.
It violates,
I don't want you a part of what we're doing. And that kind of stuff shows Gerald, I'm going to put it this way. You ready for something interesting? we've got a problem in our universities. We've known this for a long time.
No question.
The institutions are not what they were. They've become ideologically driven, activist teachers that are purporting absolute insanity and warping and twisting the minds of young people who they're most susceptible to ideas driving them. Do you want to know someone else who was a very similar position that had a tremendous impact on history? Charles Manson.
Yeah.
Charles Manson did not murder anybody, but he convinced his family, the family of the Manson family, to do it by training them and thinking and dehumanizing people to go and commit murders on his behalf.
Yeah. Wow.
It's the same foundational thing of this manipulation, of this propagation of ideology that is now actually warping people to something that will, everyone, this is the important thing, it will destroy societies. It will destroy what the West has built in terms of the greatest nations in the world that respects humanity, that respects the individual, that respects freedom of speech, that respects your bank accounts and your family. It respects the open discourse and public debate and the sharing of ideas. It respects humanity, and we've lifted people out of poverty. Like, this is what the West has built because of the idea of freedom of speech, respect for the individual, which is biblically based. And when you have people who are antithetical to that, you're going to have the breakdown of a society, and you start moving backwards. That's why it is so important to talk about these things and not let something like this be a moment that sucks the courage out of people who want to see change, right?
Yeah. And the thing is the reaction of, I'm sad to say it, but the reaction of a lot of the left leaning in the United States, where people are cheering and excited. I posted a bunch of stuff from going, in the name of tolerance, they're the least tolerant group, the least tolerant, but they say they're tolerant. It's really
the
sad.
guy who pulled the trigger, as going through here, and we'll talk about more. Tyler Robinson, I believe his name is. You look at the stuff he's posting, he was actually a fascist in the sense of, I'm going to shut someone else up because they have a different opinion than me.
By murdering.
That is actually what fascism is. That is literally the model of Stalin, of Hitler, of these guys that, and where there was dissent or where there's people with different opinions, what do? You kill them. Can you CG, can you take this picture? You're just like, I've been going through X, and I've been saving a lot of these things of people selling t-shirts, debate this, obviously Charlie getting shot in the neck, and you have a generation that celebrates this type of thing.
So that photo right there is evil. This person is mocking murder and making it a mockery of Charlie Kirk. Evil. You just looked at evil in the face. That woman is evil.
Yeah. This isn't, I'm going to show this one too. This is not fringe, everybody, just so you guys know. This is mainstream. You can show this one too. You can see this guy. I'll show you here again. Right? So I'm going to back it up. Watch this one guy celebrating seconds after.
Yeah, like 1 second after witnessing a murder.
Fist pumping, laughing, smiling, cheering.
And he jumps up and cheers, right? Did you see him do that? You might have missed it, but he was right
there he is again.
He's doing this. First of all,
I'm going to keep going through because
complete psycho. That's not how a normal human being reacts after witnessing a murder. He's cheering like this.
Here is the leadership of the United States.
If you agree with this, if you agree with the murder, you are on the wrong side of history. There's no question. Anyone.
Yep.
Anyone.
Yep. Here's the U.S. Senate.
I know.
Or the House, the Capitol Hill, I mean.
It's evil.
Asking for a moment of silence.
Let's wait a minute. The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
Prayer and silence.
The House will be in order.
You have a clear group yelling no.
So insane. Yeah, swearing.
So my point is, asking for a moment of silence and prayer for Charlie, not because he was a special individual that's better than other people, although he was special. It is a giant moment in history that shows something larger. And this woman was asking for, we need to recognize this moment. and you have one side yelling no. This one might be the most disturbing one. I'm gonna show guys. We could go for hours on this. I just want to make sure that we have it there. Let's connect. Waiting for it to connect. But you see nonstop things on social media, not just like 5, 10, 20 people. I'm talking about millions of likes, comments, retweets.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Hundreds of thousands of. It's not connecting to the studio for some reason. There we go. I'm gonna start this over. Tell me when you got it.
Charlie Kirk got shot in the head.
Social worker from Victoria, BC.
Finally, somebody with a gun, which is almost everybody in the States, grew a pair and went and shot somebody on the right side. Thank you. Can we keep this up, please?
So, it's hard to watch these things, guys. I could keep going. Jerry, I'm going to show this one just to drive my point.
Unbelievable.
Not MacBook Air. Let's go Studio C.
How does that person think they're on the right side of history, though? Like, how does
this is the parasitic mind. This is what horrible ideologies do to people. It twists and warps your mind to where, again, putting on my pastor hat on, you read John 8. It's a beautiful scripture. It opens up about Jesus meeting the woman at the well, saying, where are your accusers? After he says, he is without sin, cast the first stone, draws a line in the sand, no one's there. And he goes and says, go and sin no more. But then he keeps on going, talks about truth and lie. And those who know the truth and the Father is their Father will recognize the truth. But then it says those who are not of the Father, meaning have chosen to reject the Father, will not hear the truth because it is not in them.
For sure.
And you look at something like this. So look at this one here.
We got Charlie in the neck. We got Charlie in the neck. Who's up next?
This makes me sick to my stomach, man.
Look at. So we got Charlie in the neck, singing, celebrating. My point in bringing this up. And like I got more and more, man. I've saved hundreds of these. There's one. Oh, I feel like I got to show this. This is
crazy.
This is This is not the government of. This is the EU Council.
Yeah.
Where half of the council was disrupting as one half stood up to acknowledge that this is a major point. Right? The other half was doing a completely disruptive thing to thwart it and go against it. This is leadership. This is a woke mind virus that has completely and switched off the brains of people. So I'll show you here. Throw it up.
Yeah, I saw this.
So the point is, I think you guys get the point by now. We live in a world, and this is why it is so important to speak truth. That's why we've heard over and over again, well, what is truth? We know where truth stems from for us and our beliefs in the Bible and truth actually, it's not a religious thing, you guys. Truth has to stem from something that is higher than us. There has to be something higher that we can all depend on and foundationally say, who's got a higher thinking, a higher way of being that says this is truth and this is not. Otherwise, everything else is just opinion. If you think something is good and bad and there is no God, doesn't make it good or bad because I might think differently. And now it is illogical when you walk that path down. So it has to stem from somewhere. We believe that. But if you don't care, you want to get into religion and truth or Christianity specifically, you look at the principles that have built these countries and look at what has actually made and brought us out of the barbarianism, the depravity that society has gone through throughout the year, through the millennia, and what has lifted people of poverty, what has produced great results. Look at those principles. That's also a way you can look at what is truth too.
Well, this is from Ephesians 6:12, a famous verse. But like when you see videos like that, the only thing I see is a demonic influence. It's evil, and it needs to be exposed. But like this is the verse, Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, contending only with the physical opponents, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in heavenly supernatural places. That's what we're dealing with here. Like the thing I think that is that they're showing their face, like they're deceived. And the thing about the deceived is they don't know they're deceived. Like when someone's truly deceived, they don't know it. They're deceived. And that's what you're witnessing here. You're witnessing evil and deception. And
I'm afraid that this is a point that divides culture and society even further. If what happened this week breaks your heart, as you said, there is this anger and there is this more than frustration that's involved. The wrong move is to villainize everybody who would be on the other side that would be celebrating it. I'm not trying to villainize, we're trying to shed light on this type of thing. The right move is to actually find courage, to study and know what you believe, learn how to articulate it, and engage in one-on-one conversations. Don't be afraid to engage when you see something happen in public that is clearly wrong. Speak up about it, call it out. When you have conversations around the dinner table that might be politically motivated or culturally motivated or issues motivated, who cares what they say? Don't let their feelings or their use of feelings try to manipulate you in the sense of this whole idea of your words are violence is total BS.
Yeah, it's complete.
Because actual violence is violence when words cease. And there's ideas that I think has hurt a lot of people, or not hurt. It's made a lot of people who have certain views not want to speak about them because they're afraid of offending someone else. And what they're actually, I'll say this: most of people aren't afraid of offending someone else. They're actually afraid of the pushback of how they'll look if they offend somebody else based on their thought. And they don't want to go down because it's not worth the effort. It is worth the effort. It is worth everything. And I'm not just thinking about you and me. I'm actually thinking about our kids. Our kids and our grandkids. What world are we going to leave them? See how far it's progressed in a decade? We both have young kids. Yours is turning 5 or just turned 5. I got one on the way and one that's 3.5. 10 years is a long time, but our kids are still kids. For sure. What's the world going to be like in 10 years? Yeah, for sure. It is so vital and important to speak and bring. And I love what you said earlier. You're not going to we all have to be that way. It's actually out of love. For sure it is. And that's the thing is like one of the greatest forms of love is to confront with truth. That's it. Like it's one of the absolute greatest forms of love to affirm someone in hurt who is doing things that are not good, not productive, going to hurt them. To affirm that's not love. It's not love at all. If I see someone doing something that is going to damage and destroy their life, love is to take the uncomfortable position, to correct, to change, to coach, to help. It's difficult. It's uncomfortable, but that's actual love. It really is. Courage must rise in a culture of fear. It has to rise. And media, if you've looked at them, they've traded truth for power, right? And you see universities have become breeding grounds of ideology, not wisdom. You also are seeing millions of people that are cheering on the death, and they actually no longer know what real life is like. And I think the call to action for all of us, it's not a time to retreat. It's actually a time for courage. It's a time to be respectful, to speak truth in love, to stand for truth, to look at those directions. And what the world, and this is what I mean, the world is calling evil good. But that's not the right way. And that's why you have to stand for what's actually good and what's defined by good. I think we heard that from a couple of our guests today as well, their thoughts on it. But I think that's our take on how you actually move forward and how you can actually see Western society become better from this moment. And just a couple thoughts, but. For sure. Anywhere else you want to go before we wrap, or what do you think? I find it difficult to drum up the right words for what we're going through as a culture. It's difficult. It's really difficult. And I think how we handle this turning point is everything. We're at a moment. We're at a real moment in time. And so violence is never the right option. It's not the right option. The only time would be in war and self-defense. Those are the only two. And we have to respond. We have to lead with love. As Nathan said, as Christians, we're called to love our enemies. Love our enemies. Gosh, that's difficult. And that's one of the clearest distinguishing differences between Christianity and any other religion. Look at what Christianity is being called to do. Love your enemies. Love them. Love. It's not just a word. It's an action. It's a response. It's a turn the other cheek, to love your neighbor as yourself. It's like all of these things are. It's the only religion that calls to that level. 100% of love, and it's wild, but it's what will build great nations, great families. It's what great principles will be built on, and that's the only thing that will change us. Not hate, not tit for tat, not responding with hate or anger, but love.
and that's what I think we have to build on.
Yep. It's this will obviously be talked about for a long time. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What was your reaction when you were following the events? What happened in Utah with the assassination of Charlie Kirk? What's your response of people in rejoicing? Obviously, there's a lot of heartbreak. We're seeing President Donald Trump and J.D. Vance in the White House helping the family. And I know J.D. Vance, Vice President, used Air Force Two that helped bring back Charlie from Utah into Arizona. You're seeing flags in the United States at half-mast, which is unusual for a civilian to have that kind of recognition. But obviously, Charlie had a huge impact. And what someone meant as a bullet to silence him is actually going to amplify
A megaphone,
the
for
voice
sure. No doubt.
of what happens. And that's really what happens in the case of a martyr and a true martyr, right? A man who's convicted by his faith and was killed for what he believed in. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. We're going to try to keep you up to date as things progress and change. I know there's constant developments with all of this, and I have more questions that I hope get answered on a lot of this. I've seen a lot of forensic breakdowns of the shooting and where the guy came. I saw the video of the guy running across the roof, jumping off the roof. They've got the guy apparently, but I just got more questions. It seems like it was slightly coordinated. I don't know. There was that guy they initially arrested that they think was a distraction to let the guy get away. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to make sense. This guy's a young dude, and why he did it. Again, it just seems like it's obvious. I don't know. I just got a lot of questions, and we're going to dive deeper and try and keep you guys up to date.
Yep,
and probably on social media clips. That's where you'll get a lot of our updates, is social media clips. So the fastest clips you will get will be social media. So follow us online, jump in the comments, let us know. And I hope that people, if you're on the opposite side of our thinking, which is okay, I hope that we're challenging your thinking. We hope that dialogue continues to go forward so that you question why, and that you have the security as an individual to be like, am I wrong? I'm always asking if I'm wrong. I watch my own stuff and go, was I wrong? I need to know. Am I blind? Am I biased? Where am I at? We have to always do that. That's what Charlie also encouraged all the time.
Yeah.
Gosh.
We welcome it. Let us know in the comments if you do disagree, why you do.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to hear it. We do watch and read the comments. So all right, let's wrap there.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for a great show. Talk soon.